Next case on the agenda, ZB 2015-13, 148 Mill Street. Mr. Gassion, handling.
1 minute, Mr. Chairman.
Gassion always gives me problems.
Michelle, to look at it.
You always give me
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the notice and publication.
This is the sixth family, am I correct?
We don't need to present the case, right? It's a sixth family.
No, this is the one that you're saying is a sixth family. This is the one I got, you noticed, you weren't here, I got confused with another case before. Because it was on the top of my pile, I thought this was the first case we wanted.
The notice and publication services exempted.
Okay. Mr. Gassion, you may start.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, council's name is Robert Gassion. The firm is Gassion Pamaco, 524 Union Avenue in Belleville. I represent the applicant in this matter, RMD Family Realty LLC. My client owns 148 Mill Street in Belleville, and they are seeking a certification under Belleville Ordinance 23-14.1 and New Jersey Statutes annotated 4055D-68 that this is a sixth family home. The Office of the Construction Official has it listed as a 4-family. Submitted with my application are tax records from the early 60s, a multiple housing inspection certificate, and a city directory starting in 1962, shortly after the building was erected. I have supplemental information, a rent roster from 2004, and a submission to the tax assessor should that become necessary. I'd like to call my first witness, Dr. DeMeo.
Can I ask you a question? When was this built?
I think 60 or 61. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I stand corrected. It was built in 53.
63, right?
53.
53?
My apologies.
Could you raise your right hand, please, sir? Yes. With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your name and spell your last name, please.
Ralph, last name DeMeo, D-I-M-A-I.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, what's your business address?
625 Dryden Street.
And are you one of the owners of RMD Family Realty?
Yes.
And does RMD Family Realty own 148 Mill Street?
Yes.
And for how long has that entity owned the property? Approximately.
2008, so
Hold it.
was that 7 years ago?
Hold on,
One second, we're going to change the tape.
Yeah.
Okay, again, for the record, for how long has RMD Realty owned the property?
7 years.
And who owned it before that?
My parents,
And who owned it before your parents owned it?
my grandparents.
And did your grandfather build the building?
Yes, he did.
And how old are you, Mr. DeMeo?
Just turned 62.
And do you remember this building from your youth?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, has it always been a sixth family?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Chairman, the tax records, the multiple housing inspection certificate, and the price and Lee have been submitted. Do you want me to reintroduce them in any way?
No, but I have a question on it.
Okay.
On the
What a
first
surprise.
one involving the taxes, there seems to be a change in 1963, but I'm assuming, and of course you should never assume, because there was a definition about that in the movie. It was a tax revaluation, I'm not sure. But I noticed on the top for use,
So let's say
it
the
looks like a
unit.
5 was crossed out and changed to a 6.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was mistaken or not. I think all the testimony and all the proofs will show it was a 6.
All right, well then you could provide the proof to show it's a 6, and I have no problem.
So if you look, obviously you have to take a look at the Price and Lee, which are in there.
Okay, which page is all this? This is what number?
Price and Lee,
148 mil.
Yes.
Okay.
So look at Price and Lee in 1962, and you will see 6.
Look at
Resident.
58, I'm not seeing anything.
I can't find it in 58, that's why I assumed it was built in 60.
And you said it was built when?
53.
53, well, that's not right, because otherwise there would be a price in something somewhere. 148, yeah, there's nothing for 148. It goes to 134, 136, and then 150.
Well, it's shown as 150 also, it's 148, 150 probably, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
They only have one resident at
we only have
150,
one resident at 150.
1958.
Yes, now it's 62, let's see, 148.
150's got 6 residents in 50.
That's 150,
62.
yes, that's his 150. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes.
And if you look at 1964, you'll find 6 residents.
Yeah, oh, it's always coming up as 150 though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I never realized till tonight that it doesn't, it even gives the names of people who don't have a phone number.
Yes.
I never
There
realized
were a lot of
that.
people who didn't have phones back then.
Yes, I know.
And then you'll also see in 1972, we have 6 residents.
It's a good thing they don't continue this because they'd have the same problem today. A lot of people wouldn't
Don't have
have phones
phones.
because they only have cell phones. Okay. Any other testimony?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry, Tom. Mr. Mayor, I show you a document from the Township of Belleville. Is this the rent roster from 2004, and does it reflect 6 units?
Yes.
Do we have that in our packet?
No, I'm submitting that right now.
All right, A2, that's a rent roster from when?
2004.
2004, that shows 6 tenants.
And I show you a questionnaire that the tax assessor's office sometimes sends out. This one, 2014, and does this show that the building is 6 units?
That's correct.
Mark that A3.
A3?
And that is a document from the township?
What happens is the tax assessor sends out a statement
Got it.
to property owners requesting information to assist him in the preparation of his assessment against the property,
Okay.
income producing property, and that's that document showing 6.
Okay, so you're saying everything changed in 77, correct?
I'm sorry?
When the density went down from 75 units an acre to 25.
Depends on what section of the town you're in, that's correct.
Well, this is a C variance. I mean, a C
Certification.
C zone. Yeah, it's a multifamily zone.
It is.
That's what I'm saying, I'm going by multifamily.
And I have no further questions of this witness. I do have an additional witness.
Okay, any questions of this witness by members of the board? Yes, Mr. Mafucci.
Couple of, why does it come up 150? If it's
It's
148?
like a double up, 148, 150, no street. It's
Okay.
always been known as that.
Now, there's also an entrance, I should say, on Dow Street, there's a doorway. Is it to this building? Is your building on the corner?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Corner, that's a different corner.
Okay, I thought on Milk Street there was like a 148.
This is a brick building, pretty obviously an apartment type building.
How many floors is it?
Got
It's 2 floors.
2 floors. So you-
3, actually 3.
3 floors, so you have 2 units on each floor?
Correct.
What year
was it built?
It was approximately 1953.
And did,
My grandfather.
did the zone allow 6 families back then, when it was originally built?
That's what it was built at, and we were
I
living in it.
believe he's got a copy of the law that says it was 75 units an acre in the C zone.
Yes.
That's my other question.
Well, it went from 75 to 25 to 8, to 24 to 18 to 12 now. Keeps on going down. Huh?
I have one other question.
Yes.
Is this registered with the rent leveling board? Is this registered with the rent leveling board?
Yes, I submitted a document to that effect.
Absolutely.
That was one of the pieces of evidence I
You
submitted.
said tax assessor. You said
No.
taxes.
No, that was submitted with the application. Then I submitted a registration statement with the rent leveling board as the first piece of evidence added to what's in your record.
Okay, thank you.
We have those marked.
Those are the ones I just passed over to you.
Got it.
I might not be giving it to him.
You want, I'll pass it back.
No, I trust them.
Any other questions by members of the board, of the witness? None, then you can call your next witness.
Barbara?
Well, I don't think there is any problem.
Okay.
Well, yes, there's.
I'm public.
Is there any question, any question of the public of the witness? None, go ahead. I'm sorry, I thought we didn't have any public, then I realized we do.
Could you state your name, please, and spell your last name?
Barbara Tripoldi, Tripoldi.
And where do you reside?
54.
I'm sorry.
Let her
Grand
read-
Road.
Could you spell
I'm
her
sorry.
name?
Barbara? Could you spell your last name, please?
Tripoldi.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I,
Thank you.
And what's your residence?
54 Grant Avenue, Nutley, New Jersey.
And are you one of the owners of RMD Realty?
Yes,
And does that entity own 148 Mill Street?
yes,
And are you related to the previous witness?
yes, my brother.
And are you familiar with the history of this property?
Yes, I am.
And did you ever live in this property?
Yes, I did.
And approximately when did you live in this property?
1969 to 1970.
And can you tell us how old you are?
64.
And can you tell us what your first recollection is, approximately what year do you remember this property?
I remember about 6 years old when my grandfather got sick in the basement, and thereafter my father went collecting rents, and he brought me along with my aunt. I was a little girl, until about 9 years old, and he felt it was my brother's turn.
So, roughly, what year was that? You were 6 years
I
old?
must have been about 1966, that's 56.
56, okay, thank you.
And to the best of your recollection, this property, from when it was built to today, has always been used as a six-family?
Yes, always.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Any other questions by members of the board? Mr. Mabuchi, no?
No?
Any questions of this witness by members of the public? None. Any other witnesses?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Any members of the public wish to give testimony on this case? No. Okay, you may sum up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have had two witnesses have an independent recollection of this building being a six-family. The building has been in their family, built by their grandfather since the late 1950s. The city directory from 1962 forward shows six families. A rent roster was submitted in 2006 showing six families. The submission to the tax assessor, voluntarily submitted by my client, reflected six families. The tax records from the early 60s show six families. So certainly it was legal as a six-family prior to 1977. The board's completely familiar with that, and I think the proof is quite clear based on the evidence that's submitted and the testimony of my witnesses that it's been a six-family since it was built, or certainly since they can remember, and since all the records reflect. Therefore, I think the certification should be granted that this is a pre-existing, non-conforming six-family dwelling.
Okay. Members of the board, your pleasure.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Caruso. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Montalbano. Clerk call the roll.
Zeal,
Yes.
Caruso.
Yes.
Montalbano.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Mafucci.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
Yes. Approved 6-0.
Thank you for your time and attention.
You're welcome.
You're done. Resolution is memorialized in the next.
Thank you very much.